Okay, so we just got done with week 15, and I don't understand. I feel like every single team in the NFL is a fraud outside of one, so let's get into it. Oh my lord! Sweet God, is this what happiness feels like? This game was so cool. Far and away the game of the year, and I was pretty impressed in myself, actually, for being able to stay conscious for almost 3 hours with a full mask during this game, but trust me, I never looked away from this blood ritual of the destruction of the Chargers for even a second. We could be here for hours if you want. I could talk about this game for days. It was that special, and I really had a good time. And I know this game literally doesn't matter for anything other than losing the Tank Bowl battle, but I don't care. Let me have this one, please. So I'll spare you from a nice Raiders rant. But one more thing, on a more serious note, I hate to get all somber, but we lost a good man on Friday morning. I shed tears when the news broke of Brandon Staley's firing. I can't say enough about the job Brandon did with the Chargers. He was such a positive influence on my life, and watching Chargers games won't be the same without him. And maybe Justin Herbert could be happy one day, but nah, probably not.
Oh no. Oh no, not again, boys. No!
So, if you're a Vikings fan, you could look at this game from two angles. From one perspective, you could be pretty satisfied with how Ty Chandler and the defense played, and also Nick Mullins. He proved to be an obvious upgrade over Josh Dobbs after the spell casted on him wore off, which is cool, but a more negative person would point out how the Vikings win this game if he doesn't commit some rough red zone turnovers, pissing away crucial points. And if he didn't do that, this game actually could have just been a blowout. But they still had a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter, which they then blew. But when the Vikings started collapsing, it really felt like it was coming sooner rather than later. Minnesota's defense was playing great for most of the game. It's just, you can only hold off Cincinnati's offense for so long, I guess, and credit to Jake Browning for responding. I was just wrong about him too. Again, he's a very solid NFL quarterback, so I'm truly sorry about calling him bad. And if he didn't make some ballsy-ass throws to receivers who really weren't open for most of the game, the Bengals don't get this win. Now, they also probably don't get this win if Brandon Powell isn't the one pushing Nick Mullins forward for a yard, but hindsight is hindsight, and the Vikings lost the game. They were in a position to win this one for the whole time and failed to capitalize. And now their playoff chances are looking a little scarier and scarier by the minute. And for the Bengals, Buffalo was gaining on you. So you needed this win to keep pace. And at this point, you're going to need to keep playing better and better if you want to be playing in mid-January. And losing DJ Reader, unfortunately, isn't going to help that. And you better pray that Jamar Chase's injury isn't anything super significant either. So, the Steelers are just bad, right? I mean, finally, it seems like their record is at least beginning to reflect that. The whole start of the season, all I was saying was how astronomically unlikely it was that the Steelers even had a winning record, and eventually, things would average out, and boy have they. Patriots loss, Cardinals loss, and although it wouldn't have even been possible to one-up themselves this week, against the Colts, missing already so many pieces, their top 2 running backs, their star wideout, and more, and they even had a goddamn 2-possession lead handicap, and they managed to get blown out. An incredible feat, truly one of the Steelers' games of all time. And if I really want to be an asshole about this game, the Colts didn't even look particularly good. Minshew had yet another unstable performance, but goddammit, Mitchell Trubisky is still on an NFL roster, so as long as you have a mammal of some sort taking a snap from under center against the Steelers, you got a shot to beat them, and that's about it. George Pickens honestly might just retire this offseason the way this team is headed.
Out of my way, son! Door stuck!
Man, this felt like I just watched the execution of a war criminal. The Lions just pulled all their anger together over the past couple of weeks and just penetrated Denver with the full load. Could have worded that better, but that wasn't necessary. I mean, even at the end, I get it, more points equals more morale, but like, damn, Dan Campbell, you really don't give a shit. Still though, don't lie to yourselves, Denver. You saw this game coming. Detroit is just you guys, but better at almost everything, and domination is what ensued. So, it is what it is. you. This is unacceptable. I don't give a shit about the weather or injuries or any of that. I really don't. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the Falcons' defense was actually pretty damn solid in this game, if not great. You know, holding a team to 0 touchdowns should equal a win most of the time, and it should have, but Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith have just been the most depressing dynamic duo in maybe sports itself. They had so many chances in this game to win. Their stars, who were barely being utilized, played badly in limited opportunity, but we're at the point where that's not only expected, but it's just a staple of Atlanta Falcons football. So that happened, and then when Atlanta seemed to accidentally get something going, Desmond Ridder rolled out and fired one of the most accurate passes of his entire career right to his intended target, and presumably went to the sideline, where Arthur Smith gave him a nice juicy slap on the ass for that fucking garbage ass interception. Congratulations to Bryce Young and the Panthers, though. That truly was one of the worst late drives I've ever seen, and I'm sure the stadium was absolutely popping all day, so this win will surely be remembered for years to come. When will it end? Look, I learned my lesson. I really did this week. I thought the Bears in the second half of this season, behind Justin Fields' improved play, could possibly and likely rally from out of nowhere to steal a wildcard spot, and I was so wrong. It turns out 40 pass attempts resulting in not even close to 200 yards isn't a great ingredient towards winning a football game, and even though they almost did enough to win, holding yet another fourth quarter lead, that's not a good thing. It really isn't, because we're at the point where this franchise's fourth quarter suckitude is on a historic level. The Bears, as a football team, are an acquired taste, okay? You can't just watch them normally, and there's a lot of teams like that, of course, but Chicago is one of the best. You can't just expect good football. You have to expect inexplicably terrible football, and when good things happen, just be pleasantly surprised, but that only occurs so often, and man, this game was full of the bad things. Justin Fields had a rough day, but that was expected given the opponent and weather conditions, but even when he made plays happen, nothing came from them, with the biggest example being Fields escaping and laying a loaf right into Robert Tunyon's breadbasket, who fucking drops the ball. How? I'm pretty confident I could have caught that with my ass cheeks. And then we move on to the Hail Mary. Not the first one, but at the end of the game, where Fields gets it into the end zone and Darnell Mooney has it hit his hands and drops the ball. What? No further comment for Chicago, but when they decided to leave the door open in the fourth quarter, as is the culture, Cleveland is probably the last team you want to do that against. Time and time again, they've proven, unless they're burned alive and buried, they will return. And with both defenses playing incredible, seriously, this Browns unit is on an all-time pace, but the Bears' defense was nothing. Nothing for Joe Flacco, ignore the interceptions, and a near 400 piece in this economy from Joe? Oh, fuck yeah, I am so excited to see some Flacco football in the playoffs again, but just like with Cincinnati, Cleveland, you can't afford to let up, and with more injuries flowing in, Buffalo could be coming in to ruin things anytime now. How do I put this? I feel like the Titans are the most fun, boring team I've seen in maybe ever. Their style of play is objectively boring, and when Will Levis is malfunctioning and Derrick Henry ages 10 years overnight, that amplifies things. But the games they're involved in just turn out unpredictable every single time. I'll keep it $150 with you, though. I didn't even know who the Texans' starting quarterback was before this game, but when Case Keenum was announced jogging out there onto the field, my jaw hit the floor. I mean, good for him on making an NFL roster nowadays, but I mean, the Texans' top 2 receivers combined for a solid -2 yards last week, so there's no shot the Titans lose this game after their massive win versus Miami. Well, yes, there shouldn't have been a way they lost this game, but the Titans are odd. There was just so many obscene plays in this game. Dalton Schultz had a wild catch, Devin Singletary's game winner got called back, and then Kaimi Fairbairn returned from injury and kicked a game winner. And look, for the Titans, let's be honest, this is a game you shouldn't have lost. The Texans had no Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Titus Howard, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, Jimmy Ward, and the page is full, but you get the idea. and won the game. And, I guess I underestimated the raw power of D'Amico Ryans with a headset on, but the one thing you have, Tennessee, is Will Levis's development, and you broke him. The maestro of mayonnaise took 7 men to the front, and that's just... You can't let that happen. If this injury lingers and develops into something worse, I'm going to be pissed at you, Tennessee. But your punishment for now is being eliminated from the playoffs. And I guess that's not really bad enough, because who really cares? We've known that's going to happen since like week 3. Oh yeah, that's Baker Mayfield unleashed, baby. Remember back in his rookie season when he flashed the ability to do this from time to time? Well, Joe Barry studied exactly what defense was the least effective against Baker, and then rolled that out onto the field in utter perfection on Sunday. I don't think any coach from Sunday was worse at their job than Joe Barry was as the Packers defensive coordinator. I understand Baker isn't the worst quarterback in the league or anything, but brother, you just decided to put a linebacker on Chris Godwin all game and allowed a certified journeyman quarterback to drop a perfect passer rating on you with great volume. That isn't okay. The Bucs did what they wanted whenever they felt like it, and Baker just had possibly the best game a quarterback has played all year, which honestly completely wiped away a solid Jordan Love game without his top weapon. I hope this isn't the game that Packers fans look back on in a few weeks as to why they missed the playoffs, but unfortunately, I think that scenario is very likely. Hey, what is there to complain about, Patriots fans? The calls were never going to go your way, but you did what you set out to do. You lost the football game, and not only that, but you lost the game in a good way. This game was close early on, and it didn't really seem like there was that much of a talent gap between the worst team in the AFC and an above-average unit. You also gave us another Kadarius Toney up, so that was... That was kind of funny, but I don't know what else to say. Other than, hey, the Panthers won. So the Caleb Williams sweepstakes are still anyone's game. If Bryce Young can pull one more out of his sweaty crotch, Bill could be gifted with a new apprentice. And if that happens, we'll see, but hopefully the prophecy won't fulfill itself again. Damn, I didn't see this coming. Yes, these teams are both lacking everything, but I thought the Giants were going to dominate this game. With Waller coming back and DeVito's ego growing, I felt like it was going to be a perfect storm in combination with Saquon running harder than ever, but no. Derek Carr looked like his old self, and the Giants' O-line is just... I mean, this might actually be one of the worst offensive lines I've ever had the displeasure to watch. Evan Neal was still out, so that helped the line be a little bit better, but the Saints defense dominated this game, and the offense without Olave and others followed suit. Imagine if the Saints could do this every game. Wouldn't that be swell? But that would make sense, and thus is the way of Derek Carr and the Saints coaching staff, and trust me, that's not going to change. I would know. The traveling psych ward that is the New York Jets made a pit stop in Miami this week, and it was just as entertaining of a disaster as you thought it would be. Even without Tyreek Hill and with the whole goddamn roster listed as questionable, this game was just rough. It was really, really tough on the eyes. The Jets' already cremated remains were scattered across the field and slowly burned particle by particle until the clock struck 0. Zach Wilson, who around last game and won the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, decided on Sunday to impressively lead the offense to 0.2 yards per play behind no O-line, and he found himself injured. So in came Trevor Siemian, who would only pad Miami's defensive stats more until the free win was all but gifted to them. So with New York eliminated from the playoffs, there is quite literally zero reason for Aaron Rodgers to see grass this year. Keep the man in a state of mummification until next year. Please, then he'll tear his ACL or Achilles or whatnot on the same field again, and then I'll call it a career. But no reason to rush him back out just to throw a touchdown in like week 18 when the 6-win Jets help the Patriots complete their tank. But before we get into the 1 p.m. games, it's time to talk about this video sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest way to play fantasy sports, and my personal favorite way to do that is through the pick'em game format, where you simply choose whether you believe a player will go lower or higher on a singular stat, and depending on how many you get right in a row, you can win up to 20 times your money. And for these upcoming Sunday games, I've already got 2 picks right here, which are Kyren Williams for the Thursday game over 88.5 rushing yards, and Kyler Murray over 223 passing yards on Sunday. Sunday. So if you want to tail this pick'em entry or come up with your own creative one and live in one of these many states in orange on the screen here, then click the link in the description to sign up with promo code Tubfrog, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Also, if you sign up using my code for the first time ever, you'll receive a free pick'em offer this week where all Matthew Stafford has to do is throw for half a yard on Thursday. So if you want to take advantage of that, go have some fun on Underdog and make sure to use promo code Tubfrog for a massive discount. And with that, let's get back to the recap. Cardinals football, 49ers football. I feel like we're at the point in the season where games like this literally need no analysis. All you need to know is the matchup and you can just imagine what happened, and chances are what you thought of is probably exactly what actually took place. We know who these teams are is what I'm trying to say, and the 49ers avoided a potential trap game in the win column and way more importantly in the injury column. Purdy and Bosa went down with injuries, and the head injuries are really starting to rack up for Brock, but other than Hufanga, pretty much all of their stars have avoided major injuries. So I don't know what else to say. I say it every week, but if they're not severely injured, there is no team better than the 49ers. But they have mastered the ancient art of the playoff choke over the last decade and change, so hey, you never know.
You are done.
Well, this game, like the Cardinals one, wasn't going to be a question as to who's gonna win this game, but rather how will the Rams attack. Stafford could have done whatever he wanted against Washington, but also Kyren Williams could do the same, and the Rams, instead of choosing one or the other, decided to go with a relatively balanced game plan. Stafford continues to ball out of his mind, and if Kyren didn't fumble twice, the Rams could have gone for 40. The Commanders need to completely retool the defense over the offseason, because this can't keep going on, but I mean, we know this. This is one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the league, and it somehow just continues to go downhill. Right now, they're obviously embracing the tank, but if Jacoby Brissett is going to step in for Sam Howell, that might ruin everything. He immediately came in and almost made the game competitive for a hot minute, reviving Terry McLaurin from the pile of decaying receivers after getting paid, and actually made him look like Terry again. So, for Washington fans, you better hope this perfect passer rating version of Jacoby doesn't stop you from getting a top-tier special player in the draft.
Whoa, Squidward, you're choking!
The Bills are so weird, dude. Is it possible for one of the best teams in the NFL to not be in the playoffs? I mean, is it? I don't think the Bills are this sleeper Super Bowl contender, but I will admit their ceiling is unbelievably high, and this is the definition of a statement win against one of the previous hottest teams in the NFL, something you need to have under your belt if you're going to make some noise in the playoffs. I just don't understand, though. The Bills have constantly been one of the most injured teams in football, and it's not getting better. So how do they keep winning games like these? And maybe, though, it's possible this was just the result of Dallas doing what they do best. I feel like we already know who they are, though. They can either blow out any team or get blown out, and that's not super great for playoff football. So in conclusion, the Bills fucked them in the ass, and I guess every single NFC team except for the 49ers are just frauds.
Yep.
Well, this game had all the potential in the world to be a heavyweight classic primetime game for this year's standards at least, but didn't happen because the Jaguars decided that they weren't going to show up and play football like they've done so many times this season. The first half was so sloppy. They left at least 16 points on the board, and then in the second half it just got even worse when the Ravens started to finally do things more consistently, and although they paid the price with yet another horrific running back injury, they were able to outlast Jacksonville and prove that, as of right now, they and the Dolphins are alone as the two only, and I mean only two good teams in the AFC. Not much to take away. We know the Jaguars are this sloppy, and they did it again. They are missing Christian Kirk so badly. It's just, this team is so dependent on the defense, and when they don't show up, they have no chance of winning.
I'm telling you now, I have plans that I cannot share with you right now.
This game also started off very slow. With Jalen Hurts being sick and injured, the Eagles' offense looked garbage all day long, and the Seahawks' defense, I guess in part due to that, looked way better. But with Drew Lock playing, I really thought this game was going to be over, but to his credit, the man looked good. Yes, Matt Patricia is calling plays for Philly now, so that's a decision for sure, but he really impressed me and made some clutch plays throughout. The game-winning drive was beyond impressive. And although he was given like 7 opportunities to do it because the Eagles actually couldn't do anything, he did get it done. DK and Jackson Smith and Jigba made great plays, and the Eagles are just collapsing. This is ridiculous. I can understand if you still think they're contenders, but there's no way they're going to win the Super Bowl at this pace. And the solution to all their defensive problems was Matt Patricia. Good luck with that, I guess. Anyways, before we end the video, you know what time it is. It's time for the Tubfrog Discord Awards, where I turn to you, the people, to see what you thought were the best and worst highlights from Week 15. So with that, you chose the best play of the week as Jack Jones's pick 6 versus the Chargers. Yeah, that's the right choice. I like it. And then the best game from Week 15 was also, I gave you a lot of options, and you guys came through again. Yeah, Raiders, Chargers, what a game, what a game. And then the best player performance from Week 15 kind of was a little bit close, but Christian McCaffrey probably won a lot of people a lot of fantasy games, so there's that. And then the worst team performance from Week 15. What a great week. What a great week of football, am I right? And then the worst individual performance from Week 15 had to go to Jalen Hurts, which, yes, he wasn't 100%, but football's football, and if you're out there, you have to perform, and he didn't do that. And then I asked what your favorite type of bread was, and in a landslide, well, a lot of people just reacted with pictures of my face, but I guess bread, yeah. Can't argue with that. Anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you like this video, then watch this video that I just did on Robert Griffin III and how his career was tragically cut short. It's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my Patreons for pledging $1. It means a lot. But anyways, until next time.